Let's hear from our reporter, Ben Jacobs. He spoke to Andy Goldstein, Gabriel Bonahor on breakfast, the latest on Jose Mourinho's return to Real Madrid.
Real Madrid are trying to move forwards, and reappointing Jose Mourinho will be seen almost like when Liverpool brought a series of names back, and I'm sure that Real will bill it as so-called back to the future. It's no longer about Real Madrid taking collective, collaborative decisions. This is Perez driving an appointment of Jose Mourinho, and there are people within Real Madrid, including, I'm told, some players that are not necessarily in favour of Jose Mourinho returning, and yet Perez will take the final say. And right now I can tell you there's virtually an agreement in principle to bring Jose.
Let's talk to Ramon Calderon, former Real Madrid president. Hey, Ramon, how are you?
Hello, very good afternoon.
We'll get on to Florentino Perez's extraordinary press conference. I don't know if you ever gave a press conference like that. But on Mourinho, that is really interesting that, you know, there are people within Real Madrid who don't necessarily want him. There are players who don't necessarily want him. But Perez wants him and is going to get him. If you were in charge still, would you get Jose Mourinho?
Well, we don't know yet if he is going to come due to the press conference you are talking about that the president gave yesterday, saying that he's calling elections in the next weeks. But what I know about Mourinho is what he did when he was here. Only one La Liga title in 3 years and no one final Champions League appearances. And I know what are the coaches who have been successful with our club, not the ones with his personality. Zidane, Del Bosque, and Ancelotti, all of them using different methods and system, convincing the players, not imposing their authority, which is very important when you are dealing with egos of top stars in the dressing room. That's my opinion. We know what has happened before, and therefore I would look for coaches of that characteristics.
Yeah, I mean, there is this idea that the Real Madrid squad is kind of unmanageable. You know, that they won't listen to a coach imposing tactics. Is that, or even just like trying to bring any tactics in, is that fair or not?
No, I don't think so. There have been, as I just said, coaches who have been very successful here, winning Champions League and many titles and victories, and having players who played very well as a team. So the point is that it's difficult sometimes in a club that is very demanding. It's a club where to win is an obligation, which is a problem. It's not a success. You're obliged to win. And also sometimes there are the whims of the president, like it happened with Xabi Alonso. He was, as you know, sacked only 5 months after being signed. And after that, he appointed someone who had no experience. So the coach who come here must deal at this moment, not only with the fans, but only with the president.
Do you think that's a good sign for a football club, Ramon, that you need to bring in someone with a bigger ego than the players for it to find some success? Is that a sustainable way of running a football club, or is Real Madrid a completely different prospect?
I would say that it's been working many times, having top stars, very good players, top players of the world, but coaches who understand the mentality of those players, that you have to convince them about your system, not to impose them. You have to use, as I always say, iron fist in a velvet glove. I think that's the way a coach can be successful with Real Madrid, with those special players that we always have here.
Florentino Perez is the president. He did this press conference yesterday where he said, look, I'm not going to resign. I'll call elections, but I'm going nowhere. He said, they're going to have to shoot me because I have the support of all Madrid's members. I'm going to finish the bad people. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I think it was, I have to say that, I'm sorry to say that it was very unfortunate statements. In some way, it was grotesque. No self-criticism, no acceptance of the mistakes made, a lot of them. And I thought I know him very well. I was working with him for 7 years. I know he's very arrogant in some way, but what he did yesterday was for me was stunning, and just blaming the press for all the mistakes the club made in the last two years was not understandable. Really, it was a pity. Also confusing the club with himself. It reminds me of those dictators when you are just attacking them. They use that saying that you are attacking the country. They are ruling. So no, I saw a completely person that I knew before. Very nervous, was managing papers without incoherence, not trying to use any argument, but that the press has been the one to blame for all the problems the club has had in the last 2 years. So really incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah, and how much power does he clearly has a lot of power, but like, is there a groundswell of opinion to replace him? Is there someone who would have enough support to replace him? I don't really know how the elections work to become the president of Real Madrid.
Well, for sure, someone will be trying to run for the election. It's not easy. The bylaws of the company of the club are very strict. You need 20 years time being member, which is, well, a lot of members have that condition. But also you have to put a bank guarantee of nearly 200 million euros. Maybe someone can do that, but it's true that it's not easy. And on top of that, I think he has already still the credit of the members. In the last decade, he's got many titles, he's done many things well, and I suppose that if he runs, as he said, for the presidency again, the members will support him, will back him. That's why I didn't understand the press conference that he organized yesterday. If he would have said, I try to know if the members are backing me, and that's why I'm going to call the election now. But that full stop, nothing more. What happened in an hour was, for me, was really unfortunate.
Ramon, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Ramon Calderon there, former Real Madrid president. Yeah, you should read it. I mean, it's a sort of mad ramblings. Some of it is completely.
Is it in Spanish, Max?
It is in Spanish. Yes.
But I mean, he said it in Spanish. It's not he's not said it in English, and he's not quite understood what he's saying. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Sometimes people are saying it in their sort of third or fourth language, so it's not.
No. It was a press conference in Spain for Spanish people.
Right. Okay. Sure.
And yes, it's still. I mean, and I don't speak Spanish, so yes, most ramblings in Spanish are quite hard for me to understand. But when you read the transcript,